This right here beats McMuffin any day of the week. G'day friends, how's it going? Welcome back to Sam's Home Kitchen, where I bring to you budget-friendly recipes with sustainability in mind. This week we're talking about English muffins. It's a topic that I have been shying away for quite a while, just knowing that supermarkets, 6 muffins should cost you around $2.90 all the way up to $6. They are not expensive at all. But today we're going to take on the challenge, simplify the recipe to make it as accessible, as cheap as possible, and at the end of the video we're going to find out whether or not it's worth it to make it at home, or it's a waste of effort and we're better off to just buy it from supermarket. So that is all I gotta say, and let's get cooking. So for the long-time subscribers, we all know that to get the best result, we're going to work with a scale. So starting off, we're going to bloom our yeast. So measure out 4 grams of our yeast today.
Just a side note, after some research, I found that with modern yeast and packaging these days, blooming is actually not necessary anymore unless you have doubt in the freshness of the yeast and want to see if it's still good.
Except want some lukewarm water. I just had a kettle that I turned on for about 30 seconds. It's a good idea to always just test it with your finger if you don't have a thermometer. If it's too hot for your finger, it's too hot for the yeast.
Measure out 240 grams of water. Give our mixture a mix to dissolve it all. Setting the bowl aside to bloom is not necessary anymore. The yeast mixture can be used right away. We want a 60% hydration dough for today's recipe. With 240 grams of water already measured, we add in 400 grams of flour. Sprinkle of salt, about 5 grams to season and make the dough chewier.
So this step is not necessary. I've just got some sourdough starter discard that has been sitting in the fridge, so I might as well use it. It's literally just flour, water, and some yeast, so no harm, no foul. We'll just use it up.
Now all of the ingredients are in, we can get our hands dirty and start combining it all. Feel free to use a stand mixer if you have one, otherwise 60% hydration dough shouldn't be too messy to do by hand. At the first mix, work the dough to a stage that wet and dry ingredients are incorporated. That's good enough. Not chasing a super smooth dough at this point.
So a little trick for you, if your hands gets a little bit sticky with dough, rather than washing and wasting this, what we can do is
using flour to wash our hands is a great way to reduce waste and to be more sustainable.
And like that, we got most of the dough off our fingers.
Let the dough rest for 15 minutes. We come back and give it a stretch and fold. Grab the dough by the edges, pull it up and fold it in. Spin the dough 90 degrees each fold until we cover all 4 corners.
So now we have our dough. We're not going to spend too much time trying to knead it, build strength. Even English muffin, you know the texture. It's not going to be super chewy like your typical bread. So we're going to cover it, let it proof for the first time, and go from there.
Let the dough rest for 15 to 20 minutes. Come back to it, we can see the dough has risen a bit. Tear it open. Here's some good sign of fermentation and some decent gluten structure to help us capture the air. Now, take the dough out onto the bench and portion it into 12 equal sized dough balls. Each should weigh around 55 grams. Once portioned up, do another round of stretch and fold like this. We want to turn the doughs into little balls by creating tension on the dough surface. This technique will help us build some more gluten into the dough for better texture. Now that is all done, lay out the dough balls nicely, flatten them a bit, and we want a second rise with our dough to get them soft and airy. Cover our muffins with the tray and let sit for another 20 minutes. About halfway through, I checked on them and found that they started to stick to the tray. Look at them, they're so cute. So I gave them a sprinkle of flour. Flip them over so they don't stick to the lid too much. After 20 minutes is up, these are now well risen, time to cook them up. Flat base pan on medium to low heat. I sprinkle in some flour, thinking that I can mimic and replace cornmeal that is commonly used for English muffins. Please don't do this. You can see that the flour burned instantly and it's not a good look. Anyway, once the pan is up to temperature, lay the muffins in to get them toasted. We want to cook each side for about 5 to 7 minutes. Flip them over once the cooked side is golden brown. Continue to cook for another 5 to 7 minutes on the other side. When both sides reach the same toastiness, they are good to come out. If you're following along to this stage, I just want you to know that you are freaking awesome for making these muffins at home, and great job on taking it up to save your family money. Look at these little ones, aren't they so cute? While the pan is still hot, I thought I would make some bacon and egg muffin. A couple of slices of bacon in, and a couple of eggs. Placing up, use a fork and stab our muffins all around. You'll be able to just tear the muffins open by hand. Bacon in. Egg in. It's deliciousness in the simplest form. The cost breakdown is right on the screen here. This recipe makes us 12 muffins and each muffin works out to be 5.4 cents to make. How good is that? Alright, and there we have it. That is our English muffin done right here. I'm going to dig in and just let you know how it tastes like. It's nice and crusty on the outside, on the inside is still soft and moist, and that just soaks up the egg, the yolk, and then paired really well with the bacon that we've got here. I've cut the recipe down to the very bare basic. Cut out the milk, cut out the butter, no sugar, no unnecessary eggs and stuff. Like this recipe, this is as cheap as you can get. Yes, flavor is compromised, but how much money are we saving? Work out the calculation right here. I think this is really worth it. Kind of like meal prep. We can make a big batch on the weekend and this is lunch sorted for this coming week. Apart from the wait time that we had to let the yeast do its thing, proof the dough and whatnot, this is little effort. We've got a big batch of English muffin that freezes really well as well in case we can't finish it next week. If you enjoyed the video, if you learned something, give the video a like. If you want to see more, consider subscribing. I have a new video on budget, cooking, and trying to be as sustainable as possible coming out every 2 weeks. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one.